Uh, Actually, when I was in 8th grade, I began to skip school. Me and Billy McClinic and George Lambert. Now George is still living, Billy's gone, but Bob Brooks and us, we skipped school. I went down to down in town where the railroad, where the train station comes through, and back of the Railway Express at 1:45 or something like that, this train would come from Indianapolis through, and it would stop there at the Railway Express, and we'd climb in a boxcar, and as soon as that train from the south, from Louisville, passed through, then our train would take off and go south towards Seymour. So we would ride the boxcar to Seymour, and when it stopped down there got on the side track for this train that was coming from Louisville north, well, we would get off and get on the other side of the track, and we would get on that boxcar and ride back to Columbus. And that got to be so much fun that we did it pretty often, and then our friends, other boys that heard we were doing it, we used to skip school and we went down and took a train ride, Now that worked all right until one Wednesday, which was our church night, that we rode the boxcar down to Seymour, and the train that came from Louisville back to Columbus didn't stop, so we could get on. And we had to walk back from Seymour to Columbus, which is about 17 miles. And I only got home in time for church. Mother and Dad was worried sick about me, and I got a good working over for that. But that was my highlight of now, when I mentioned a while ago that Dad's brother, his name was Harold or Bill, whichever we should call him, he was a hobo. And I faintly remember stories that he would tell as a hobo, Well, it is fun to get on a boxcar and ride the rails and feel it on your feet, the vibration and all. And so there was probably 8, 9, or 10 of us boys that pretty often skipped school until we got caught and rode the boxcar to Seymour back. We were coming home one time from Seymour to Columbus, and the train was running a little ahead of time, so they did not stop in Columbus. They didn't stop until we got north of Columbus, almost to Taylorsville. So when they finally stopped, we jumped off. Then we had to walk all the way back to Columbus to get our bicycles. I think that was just about the ending of our riding the rails. You asked what Gene and I, where I met her the first time, our dates and such as that. If I had $2 and the only thing in Columbus there was to do was to go to we had three theaters, the Rio and the Krupp and the other one, or we had an outside drive-in up the road such as that. But we didn't go to movies and any of that, so we usually took a drive to East Columbus or down to Elizabethtown or out towards Nashville. If you went to Nashville, up on top of the hill out there before you get to the state park, we went out there and met Jim Harden, Paul Boyd, and the Harden Girls, or maybe Louise Myers's boyfriend, wasn't Brother Myers then, Willard Selby. Anyhow, Jean used to bring her violin, and she would play her violin and sing to me. Now, like Paul Hardin, he played the guitar, and he would play his guitar and sing to his girlfriend. Or we'd all, maybe 6 or 8, whatever, whoever was there, we'd all play and sing and act crazy. Now, that was all right for summertime, but then when it got winter, in the wintertime we usually had our church revivals, and you could just about depend on any Saturday night that there was a revival in Edinburgh, Columbus, Seymour, Elizabethtown, Hope. There was a church service that we could go to on Saturday night, and that's what we did on Saturday nights.
Mm-hmm.
No
Cool.
TV to watch.
Yeah.
None of that.
Well, where were you when you were in the army? Like, where were you and what did you do?
Well, I got out of school on May the 25th. I went in the Army on June the 13th, 1945. I went to Missouri, thinking of the camp right now, and then I went for basic training at Camp Claiborne, Alexandria, Louisiana. And I was there in Alexandria, Louisiana, the first night that Brother Mangan came from Indiana to Alexandria, Louisiana to open a church and to pastor the church. Now that church today is a big, big church and everybody goes around. But this weekend, this was his first weekend there as pastor, and I was there. Then I was because I was what they called a non-combatant, and I didn't believe in killing or carrying arms or such. I was transferred to the Robert B. Greene Hospital in San Antonio, and there I studied to be a surgical technician. And my hours at school were every day, but I worked at the hospital every night and sometimes on Sundays, just because I liked to do the work. And that's where I got my training as a surgical technician, learning to lift the arteries and the veins, pushing the nerves down, and such as that. And then I went for reassignment down in South Carolina, and they were calling up reassignments for Europe. And this was sometime in 1945, I think in July or 1st of August or whenever it was. But they were calling the list down, and they said the last name that they called to go to Europe was McIver or McDiver, M-C-D-I-V-E-R. Now, those boys all went to Fort Dix, New Jersey, and they got on a boat real quick and went to Germany and Italy, and they went from Germany down to Italy as soldiers. But the next, he said, now this roster, or this bunch of men, will go to the Halloran General Hospital, Brentwood, Long Island, New York. And from MC, which is ABCDE, The next name they called was Roy L. Medaris. 35 99 3071. You will report Howard General Hospital on Friday, 8 a.m. or whatever it was. And they read the names of us that were going to Halloran. And that's how I got out of going to Europe. And then as Halloran, I worked in a dispensary. I worked as an embalmer in the city of New York and rode back and forth on the subways. And I got $5 a body for embalming bodies back then. And I went in every evening, 5 or 6 days a week. And sometimes we would have many bodies, and in other times, not very much do it. But $5 per body, and during that short time that I was there, I saved money to buy a brand new 1942 Hudson. And I made good money, and I enjoyed it. I had a good life. The Army liked me. And on my military discharge day, it says recommended for further military service. I was a sergeant, a T3. I had 3 stripes with a T on it. And if I would have stayed in, I was discharged on December 7th. If I'd have stayed in that year, in January, I would have made a tech sergeant, which is 5 stripes. And
Wow.
Howard General was good to me. That's But the reason I didn't want to re-up and enlist, you got about $300 for re-enlisting. Plus I was going to get rank and such as that, but I didn't been home on vacation, and Gene and I decided as soon as I got out of service, we didn't know I was getting out in December or January, but we had made arrangements to get married on February the 14th, 1947. So I got home in December, and we were married on February 14th, 1947.